most influential player in NBA history wasn't the tallest, the strongest, or even the most polished? What if he didn't just change the game, but change the culture? Before the step over, before the tattoos and braids became icons, before we talking about practice became legend, there was just a kid from Virginia who refused to back down. This is the story of Allen Iverson. He wasn't just a player, he was a movement, a shift in the culture. Before the tattoos, the braids, and the unforgettable crossover, there was just a skinny kid from Hampton, Virginia, with nothing but a dream and a ball. His name, Allen Iverson. To the world, he would become the answer. But to those who knew him first, he was simply Bubba Chuck, raw, real, and relentless. Born on June 7, 1975, Iverson came into the world under tough conditions. His mother, Ann, was only 15. His father was barely in the picture. They lived in the projects in a place where dreams didn't often come true. The lights would go out, the fridge would be empty, and sometimes the water would run cold for days. But despite it all, Allen had something inside him, something electric. He wasn't just good at sports, he was a phenomenon. By the time he hit Bethel High School, Allen Iverson had already become a legend. He led both the football and basketball teams to state championships in the same year. That kind of talent, it's once in a generation. Coaches, scouts, and local fans saw it, but the streets saw something else, a kid carrying the hopes of an entire neighborhood on his shoulders. Still, life wasn't kind. At 17, everything changed. A fight broke out at a bowling alley. A racially charged brawl that divided the town. Despite murky footage and lack of clear evidence, Allen was arrested. He was convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison, 10 suspended. Just a few months before college offers were supposed to roll in, Iverson sat behind bars. Many believed he was a scapegoat, punished more for who he was becoming than for what he actually did. The public outcry was loud. Civil rights leaders, politicians, and activists called for justice. Eventually, the governor of Virginia granted him clemency. Iverson walked out of jail, but the scar remained. His image was tainted, his future uncertain. Then came John Thompson. The legendary Georgetown coach didn't just offer him a scholarship, he offered him a lifeline. Thompson believed in second chances, and he saw in Allen something that went beyond talent. He saw fight, heart, fire. At Georgetown, Iverson was unleashed. He played like every game was personal, because it was. Averaging nearly 23 points a game, he was a two-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, a lightning bolt on the court with the soul of a warrior. He played angry, hungry. Every layup, every steal, every jumper was a statement that he was still here, still rising. In 1996, Allen declared for the NBA draft, and history was made. The Philadelphia 76ers selected Allen Iverson as the #1 overall pick. At just 6 feet tall, he became the shortest player ever taken first. The odds, never in his favor, but Iverson didn't care. He'd been doubted his whole life, and now he had a stage to prove the world wrong. From day one, Iverson brought something the NBA had never seen before. It wasn't just the game, it was the attitude, the swagger. He played with a chip on his shoulder, like he had something to prove every single night. In his rookie year, he averaged 23.5 points per game and was crowned Rookie of the Year. But it was one moment that shook the league, the crossover on Michael Jordan. The legend, the GOAT Iverson, made it look easy. And just like that, a star was born. But Allen Iverson wasn't just changing the box score, he was changing the culture. He brought hip-hop to the hardwood. Baggy jeans, headbands, tattoos, cornrows. Iverson didn't try to fit in. He made the NBA adjust to him. The league had never seen anything like it, and not everyone was ready. As his fame rose, so did the controversy. The media painted him as a rebel, a troublemaker. But fans, they loved him. They saw the authenticity, the passion, the raw, unfiltered truth. Iverson didn't ask to be a role model. He just wanted to be real. From 1996 to 2006, Iverson was the heart and soul of the Sixers. He led the league in scoring 4 times, made 11 All-Star appearances, took hit after hit, diving for loose balls, getting knocked down and getting back up. He was one of the toughest players to ever lace up sneakers. Despite his frame, he played like a giant. They called him the answer. And for millions of fans around the world, he still is. Not just because of the stats, not just because of the highlights, but because Allen Iverson stood for something bigger than basketball. He stood for authenticity in a world that wanted polish. He stood for heart in a league that demanded image. He stood for the kids from nowhere who dreamed of being everything. He wasn't tall. He wasn't built like a machine. But every night he played like his life depended on it. He didn't fake it for the cameras. He didn't read from a script. He gave us the raw version, the real version, the version of greatness that bleeds, struggles, and rises anyway. He broke ankles and broke barriers. He crossed defenders and crossed boundaries. He didn't just shift the game, he shifted the culture. In a league that once tried to mute his voice, he made noise that still echoes today. From every tunnel walk, every tattooed sleeve, every fearless crossover, his fingerprints are everywhere. He wasn't just influential, he was unforgettable. Even in retirement, his presence lingers. In every player who dares to be different, in every fan who wears his jersey like armor, in every kid who was told, "You'll never make it," and dared to try anyway. Allen Iverson wasn't perfect, but he was real. And sometimes being real is the most powerful thing you can be. He played through pain. He spoke his truth. He showed up every single time, not just for the game, but for the culture, for the people, for the ones who needed an answer. In 2016, he took his rightful place in the Hall of Fame. But his story, it didn't end there. Because legends don't fade, they evolve, they inspire, they continue to give, even long after the buzzer sounds. So if this story moved you, if it made you think, feel, or remember what true greatness looks like, then don't let it stop here. Subscribe to Triptorial. Join us for more untold stories, more legends, more truth. Because this is what storytelling should feel like. The emotion, the struggle, the victory. And this was Allen Iverson. Forever iconic. Forever the answer. We'll see you in the next chapter.